同志们、朋友们，大家好，欢迎来到毛主义共产党的语数频道。我是马修，和我现在是党的主席。每个说话的视频的前面，我会练习中文。我想提高我的口语，现在不好，所以今天副主席和我会回答一些问题。我认为听到第二个想法会对你更有意思。让我们开始。
有人教育毛主席，有人教育毛主席的革命路线。毛主席万岁！毛主席万岁！毛主席万岁！毛主席万岁！毛主席万岁！毛主席万岁！毛主席万岁！毛主席万岁！毛主席万岁！毛主席万岁！毛主席万岁！毛主席万岁！
Hello comrades, welcome back to another video. It is your Vice Chairman, MES, speaking. Today I just wanted to do a quick Q&A video because I'm not sure I'll be able to appear on the discussion show. I might, it all looks good at the moment, but I thought just to fill the gap I'll do this quick Q&A just because why not? And to answer some questions that we've found on both the channel and the Discord server, which I encourage you to join if you want to make a difference within our party, make a bigger difference rather. So our first question is, what is the MCP, what makes it different, and why is it not just some other communist group? Well, the MCP is focused upon the Mao Zedong thought, yet it does incorporate some other areas of Marxism and Leninism, and it does incorporate some of Stalin as well. It's got a plan. That's the main difference. I think it's got a plan, a set plan, set constitution, set way to run things, whether it be in a server, a piece of land we've been given, a country. It's got a plan by taking parts from the past, putting them into the present, and using the present and the past to focus on the future. That's what makes it different. We've got a set plan. And when it comes to like big matters, we don't joke around, we get things done.
I'm very glad you can join us for this collaboration today, and I'm too looking forward to this discussion show on the weekend. As for what makes the MCP different, you are very right, it is our focus that definitely defines us. We have a focus, and we have a plan towards transition for this party to actualise it, instead of being one of these probably hundreds of thousands of communist LARPs on the internet just playing around pretending to be government, into an actual party acting in real life, doing works of charity, educating, spreading Mao Zedong thought, and building up this base of popular support. You are very right in that aspect. And also another thing that I think really distinguishes the MCP from even current actualised leftist organisations is its very moral character. The MCP is distinct in its morality, and it's the core reason why we don't just join some bigger, powerful leftist organisation, because although they might have more influence, they don't want to pursue the programme we do, and they are weaker-minded even if they are more powerful. So the MCP is very well-defined programme towards transition, and its strong, unrelenting moral character that won't bend to any pressure, and its adherence to strict moral absolutism is definitely what defines this party as something in its own right, and is why we don't just join other communist organisations that might be more powerful. I'll let you take it away with the next question, comrade.
So our second question. Wasn't Mao just some murdering psychopath that caused millions of deaths? No. Just no. No. We don't believe in murder, and we don't believe Mao was a murderer. There was a death penalty for very, very severe crimes. But no, he did not murder, no.
And even if people want to call the famine murder, I mean, that's pretty baseless. The famine, Mao had really little to do with it, and people say his policies exasperated the three bad years, but really it was the lower level leaders who showed individualism, and they lied about their production figures after Deng Xiaoping and Liu Xiaoqi had implemented monetary incentives for insanely high production, which meant the competition was so high, people were just lying about their production to try and get all this money. And what happened then was the government took away whatever percent it was to go to other more impoverished areas and to go to other countries that needed grain, and they thought that those villagers had loads left because they said they had so much. And it got to a point where these villagers were giving all that they had to the government just to try and maintain some selfish image and try and get all that money. So really, I do think this is an example of petty bourgeois individualism. And after Mao combated Deng Xiaoping and Liu Xiaoqi and destroyed the idea of monetary incentives to address economic and production issues, and when he launched a flying leap forward, we never saw a major famine again, and food distribution was organised in a way with the commune and the collective that there would be no more famine.
Does Communist China relate to the MCP? Is there a difference between it and the current CCP? Now this is our third question. It depends on which Communist China you talk about. You talk about Mao's Communist China? Absolutely, that is what we are built on. You talk about Deng's Communist China, or rather China, socialism with Chinese characteristics. No, we don't relate to Deng. So there is a difference based upon what I just said between the MCP and the current CCP, in that we are focused on the Mao Zedong thought, and we don't pay attention to Dengism, and we only use it as an example of what not to let happen.
The MCP does have a great deal of respect for the CCP, and funnily enough, just yesterday at the time of recording, I was contacted by a CCP member who's actually a practicing Anglo-Catholic. He's an Anglican who goes to an Anglo-Catholic parish, so much for atheist only in the CCP there. But we hold a great deal of respect for the CCP, and by all means, when we get bigger, we'd be looking to establish some sort of relation and probably see if we could get their kind support and backing. But seriously, when we're having meetings or whatever and trips in the future, China would probably be one of the safest places for this party to go to together, much safer than a Western country. And this party doesn't seek to have another revolution in China. We acknowledge that China is not perfect because of a road taken by Deng Xiaoping, but the current leadership, especially Chairman Xi, he's doing great things to try and restore the Maoist line. So I hope that the CCP will do what's best for China, and we do not seek to interfere in any of China's affairs.
So our fourth question, is the MCP just a CCP fan club? No. We're a legitimate organisation. No.
No, you're quite right. The MCP is not just a CCP fan club, and it does differ on a few points from the CCP. It seeks to bring Mao Zedong thought to other countries now and build up bases of popular support through education and charitable work serving the people in those countries.
Fifth question, what distinguishes the MCP between the modern left? Well, the modern left, the question would be, what is the modern left? So let's answer that question, what is the modern left? What is it? What's the modern? It's sort of, it depends what you mean by modern left. I mean, it's a centrist political party in France. It's kind of hard to explain, because you could say there's the old left. It's changing on the times. The times change. So I'm just looking now at the French modern left, but we will ignore it, because I'm going to assume what's meant by modern left is today's leftism. Today's leftism, it's focused on the internet, and we've got to take Marxism, Leninism, Maoism and adapt it to the changes of today, such as the internet, etc., etc. And we are distinguished from that in that we have a plan, we're Maoist, and we incorporate both we take parts from the past and those technologies and today's technologies, and we put them together to create a strong base and all that sort of thing. Yes?
We covered a little bit of this in the first question, but there's more we can say. We see a common phenomenon in the modern left of what I'd like to call armchair communists, people who love to sit around and talk about communist theory all day long, but it's just not the right time for revolution yet, so they're just going to sit in their armchairs at home and wait for popular support to arrive. Well, guess what? Popular support's never just going to arrive like that. So we believe in getting out there and serving the people and educating people, and if we are doing charitable works out there on the street in our uniforms with our flags singing our songs, maybe it'll start discussions. Maybe people will want to know why we're doing this, and we can say, oh, well, I feel a certain moral obligation. And that's definitely another distinguishing point. And like I mentioned earlier, our adherence to absolute morality, most of the modern left is full of revisionism or intersectionality, identity politics, so our strict upholding of morality and martyrdom thoughts definitely distinguishes us from the modern left and gives us the right to be our own party.
Next question. Was the Cultural Revolution a mistake? Well, we're a Maoist party, so what do you think the answer is? Of course, it's not a mistake. It was... The Cultural Revolution was getting rid of old customs, old ideas, old habits, and... oh, what's the other one? The four olds. My memory's been quite bad. Old customs, old culture, old habits, and old ideas. So, the four olds were just mentioned, and they needed to be taken away from China, because they were ultimately dragging them from the cause, and so, yeah. And you know what I mean by the cause. So, yeah.
The Cultural Revolution was not a mistake, despite how it may have been denounced by the Dengist government as one. Near the time of his death, Chairman Mao said that his two greatest achievements were defeating the Japanese and launching the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution, and it really was an achievement. It completely revolutionised society, and one important point I think to remember is the Cultural Revolution is not just about destroying what's old, it's about reassessing the old and looking at what's virtuous, what morals we can take from the old, and what we can keep so that people can still feel a strong sense of identity, but also what elements of Marxism, Leninism we're going to bring in to make this new culture, and what elements such as foot binding or women staying in the house that we need to leave behind, so we can make a new proletarian culture that is moral and that people can identify with, but is still revolutionary. And really the Cultural Revolution in this sense is just an extension of the mass line, which is taking ideas from the masses, injecting Maoist theory into it, and then giving it back to them, so it's something they recognise, they can identify with, and then they can work with. And they will really, really embrace that. So the Cultural Revolution is not just destroying what's old, it's about creating this new synthesis of a proletarian culture by bringing the old, the Marxism-Leninism, and fusing it together and leaving behind what's going to hold us back. So that's what the Cultural Revolution is. And now, of course, there would have been some excesses in the Cultural Revolution, some statues got smashed up, but these are all anecdotal, and someone saying, "Oh well, a red guard hit my dad," it's anecdotal and it doesn't undermine the theory of the necessity of the Cultural Revolution and the excesses of certain members. Opportunists in the Red Guards is going to be opportunists everywhere, and it doesn't undermine any of the theory, and it definitely doesn't mean that Chairman Mao was accountable for those excesses. And indeed, he got the army to come in and regulate it, and he did what he could to stop those excesses while still letting the masses freely carry out their movement by their own efforts.
Do you support Xi Jinping? Well, Comrade Xi, I would support him in power because he is probably the best leader China's had since Mao. Since Hua Guofeng was weak, Deng, self-explanatory, Jiang Zemin did nothing and basically stayed on Deng's path and he did take Hong Kong, which I think is the only notable thing. Hu Jintao again didn't really change much, and then Xi Jinping has changed quite a bit in favour of Maoism. So yeah, we are considering obtaining support from the current Communist Party of China, while saying that we will not take China. We're a Maoist organisation and we would like their help. That's the sort of thing we're looking for.
And very well said, Vice Chairman. And I too think that Xi Jinping is doing great things for China. He's definitely bringing a lot more of that communist rhetoric in, and we're definitely seeing some economic improvements under him too. And he's doing a lot of good things for the Chinese nation's strength. He's not taking a backseat on the world stage, and he's definitely very familiar with Mao Zedong thought, and he's probably going to reinstate socialism fully into China, and he's most certainly heading in that direction. So I definitely support Chairman Xi, and I have a lot of confidence in his leadership. He's a very strong leader, and like you say, he's probably the best thing that China's had since Mao Zedong.
Will we stand in elections? I mean, Allende did, Salvador Allende. He took in Western democracy and got elected, and then within 6 months got taken down by the US. So it depends. I don't think these days, even if we in elections, we'd get elected. So, I mean, we might. By all means, we might stand in elections, but revolution would be an easier method.
Now, it's very doubtful that any Communist Party could make their way through in a two-party locked parliamentary system. Our current task, therefore, is to try and build awareness and educate and raise our profile a bit to gain this popular support, or at least make certain strongholds and make certain bases. We certainly don't intend to bring revolution to China, as I mentioned before, and we'd rather not undermine all of Mao's work, but we'd rather sway the party that he's already created. And in doing this, when our party grows in size, friendship with China would be a fantastic option if viable. I'm keen not to get too ahead of ourselves. We do need some short-term achievable goals for now that we can clearly work towards, like setting up local party branches, getting out there doing charitable work, getting bigger classes to educate people. But there's nothing wrong with having high ideals and dreams, and they are great for motivation. I just don't want this accusation that our party is some sort of utopian LARP, so it's quite unlikely we'll get in, but let's not, in parliamentary elections, but let's not be getting into our head any too grandiose ideas of revolution next year or something, because let me tell you, 30 people with a couple of guns are going to be crushed in a day by whatever government, and then we'll just be branded as some wacky terrorist organisation and forgotten in a week. So we want to go at it nice and slowly and consistently and not overdo ourselves here.
Was Tito a good communist? So Josip Broz Tito was the leader of socialist Yugoslavia. He fought the Nazis and in 1948 became independent from the Soviet Union. He wasn't the worst, nor was he the best. He had a tighter grip on things than, other people did. and he liked to keep that grip. So he wasn't the ideal, but I reckon he didn't do too bad a job.
I certainly agree that TITO's work fighting fascism is definitely very admirable, but he did have some revisionist tendencies that came in later, and for example, in 1958 he said that communists should no longer be concerned with questions relating to the overthrow of capitalism, and that it's possible to achieve socialism without revolution, and that communist parties need not enjoy a power monopoly in pursuit of socialism. So essentially saying we can get to socialism through reform, and it shouldn't be done through a communist party, which is definitely some reformist and revisionist tendencies there.
Is the MCP revisionist? This is our next question. No. What part of Maoism says revisionism? Yeah, what part of Maoism says revisionism? We're focused on Maoism, and Maoism focuses upon getting rid of revisionism, and as such, we can't be revisionists.
It's been claimed that the MCP is revisionist because it's a lot, and we definitely want to say this is not the case. We have now got our programme towards transition, and we are beginning, after this lockdown ends, to organise local branches in real life, doing actual charity work, getting out there on the streets, educating people, and this, no one will be able to accuse us as an internet lot, because, let me tell you something, the NCP is not a YouTube channel, it is not a Discord server, it's a party, and sure, the YouTube channel serves for our propaganda purposes, and the Discord server helps us in communicating with our spread out members all over the world, but those members are going to be setting up their own local branches and getting groups of communities and strongholds building up there. So we are going to be actualising our party now. We're moving on up to a new stage of the MCP. We're transitioning, and we are becoming a real world organisation for education and activism in Maoist. And how will we do this? We're going to do this by serving the people through charitable work, and we're going to lead by example, just like Mao's Red Army.
Our next question: what's the main reason people should join the MCP? Well, you tell me. I mean, it's a good place for other communists to connect and learn more, if anything. Yeah. It's just a place for people to connect. It's not so much about making a difference, so much as just connecting and learning, because we communists, there's not many of us around, and what are the chances of you finding another legitimate, proper party? And this is the main reason you should join.
Very well said, Vice Chairman, and I think the main reason as well people should join the MCP is because of its moral character. So many people, myself included, were very turned off leftism in general, especially socialism and communism, because they thought it was some sort of tyrannical, godless, liberal, abortionist, contraception supporting, gay marriage pushing agenda. But we want to show as the MCP that's not what communism is at all. You can seek economic justice, and you can still uphold high standards of morality. And if this is something that seems appealing to you, if you don't know where to find yourself and you're sort of stranded between the social morality that's the right at least say that they uphold, even though quite often they do not, and the economic justice of the left, well, with the MCP, if you're feeling disillusioned, you can have the best of both worlds, and I think that's a very compelling case for droves of people who could potentially join this great party.
Do you think China is actually communist? It's got some stuff left. Xi Jinping is bringing some stuff back as well. Dengism is starting to die out, and with the death of Dengism comes the life of communism, so I think China is coming back to communism.
China, during Mao's era, got very, very advanced in the progress of socialism towards communism. They had many people's communes, and they also had the Cultural Revolution, which was the farthest advance towards communism in history. Now, there were economic reforms under the next leader, Deng Xiaoping, after Mao's death, and this saw a lot of opening up and reform, opening up to Western influence. And this has largely been upheld de facto by the leaders that followed him. But now change is happening under Chairman Xi, and it looks like China's headed in a much more leftwards direction. All the hammers and sickles are coming back, the red flags are back, the songs are back, and the economic policies are coming back too. So I'm very hopeful for China, and it's looking great.
What are your opinions on communist foreign policy? Well, depends which foreign policy. China's is to put in, essentially, to form strategic bonds with other people, and with other countries rather, for their interests, and create an environment for them to develop and become a competition. That's China's, is to compete. Our policy would be to form good relations with everyone, absolutely everyone, including the United States, and prove that we are not so violent as we've been said to have been, and prove that we're just looking for peace. And there's many different ways of getting peace, and ultimately giving everyone a chance.
As far as foreign policy is concerned, I think communists should observe the principle of national self-determination. We shouldn't be like America, trying to get into everyone's affairs all around the world and forcing our way militarily onto people, and probably killing loads of innocent civilians in the process. Rather, we'll maintain our socialism in one country, and we'll spread educational programs so that the people can make the revolution themselves.
So, I think that's all the questions answered there, yeah? If you've got any more questions, we might do another one of these videos. We might add some questions to the discussion show. You go in the comments below, but I'm going to say bye for now. Join our Discord server if you want to. Apply for party membership and all that stuff. We've got a proper system now working, so yeah. So thank you for watching, comrades. Don't forget to leave us a like and share this around, and maybe subscribe, because we've got a bunch of other content like this. So I'm going to say goodbye for now, and see you next time.
Well, thank you very much for that, Vice Chairman, and thank you for everyone who joined in to listen to us today. Hopefully this will be a good supplement, and hopefully the Vice Chairman will be able to join us for our discussion show, which we are recording on Friday. Not sure when it will be edited and uploaded, but I am very much looking forward to it. Until then, everyone, 再见.
起来，饥寒交迫的